People think, well, you wrong me, I'll file a lawsuit. It's just very black and white. But issues that, particularly concerning harassment, aren't always black and white. And we're learning that. There's online reaction to Justin Baldoni leaking now texts with actress Blake Lively in their lawsuit. Blake Lively's alleged texts exposed in Justin Baldoni's $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times. Listen to his California attorney breaking it down.
This text message exchange, where Blake Lively states, "We'll show you both ways, but Beanie's much sexier. It's the look. Feels TV without it." The third text message exchange between Justin and Blake is the screenshot right here, where Justin states, "Just hired intimacy coordinator, who I love. We'll set you up to meet / FaceTime with her next week for intro." And Blake responds, "I feel good. I can meet her when we start. Thank you, though." Justin then sends this screenshot to a female producer and says, "Just FYI, just wanted to tell you about this. Seems like she doesn't want to meet the intimacy coordinator until we start." So now let's go to the text between Justin and his team. On August 19, we get these messages between Justin and his team, where Melissa states, "Good morning, sharing with you a perfect example of why we don't use bots." And Justin responds, "How can we somehow state that we are not doing any of this? It looks like we are trying to take her down." Justin goes on to state, "Okay, please monitor. Things I'm more worried about is that we are planting these stories," which is not true, obviously. Jen then chimes in, stating that this is people reacting to Blake's own actions in interviews. Next, we get these texts between Justin Baldoni and Melissa Nathan, which is a link to a TikTok that's a TikTok creator claims she received sketchy DMs instructing her how to discuss the Blake Lively-Justin Baldoni drama PR. Justin states, "This is not us, correct? Assuming the guy we brought in would never do this." Melissa responds, "None of us would ever do this."
I think we're stupid. Okay, okay. It seemed a little self-serving to me, but let's play this thing out. We got a lot more to tell you about. Justin Baldoni fired back at Lively's claims of sexual harassment as part of his $250 million lawsuit against the New York Times by submitting the actress's alleged text messages. See? Nothing to see here. He's reported by In Touch. So here's what's going on. Justin, age 40, and his legal team included several text messages obtained by In Touch, allegedly sent by Blake, 37, to refute her claims. In a suit, Justin claims the New York Times wrote a one-sided story based on a complaint Blake filed with the California Civil Rights Department. Justin's lawyers claim the story pushed Lively's unverified and self-serving narrative, lifting it nearly verbatim, while disregarding an abundance of evidence that contradicted her claims and exposed her true motive. Ran a story that was one-sided. New York Times denied those allegations. Blake filed her own lawsuit days after her petition with the California Civil Rights Department became public. She accused Justin of sexual harassment, retaliation. She claimed he hired crisis publicists to smear her after she complained about his alleged behavior on set. Now, Blake included text messages from the crisis PR reps as part of her effort to prove the smear campaign. Justin denied he was inappropriate on set or that he had conducted a smear campaign against her. In addition, she claimed Justin referred to women on set as sexy. Blake claimed the two men entered her trailer unannounced on multiple occasions while she was getting dressed. In his lawsuit against the New York Times, Justin addressed some of Blake's claims. First, he attached a text message she sent showing her describing a character as sexier when talking about wardrobe. The allegation that Baldoni inappropriately described Lively's character's attire as sexy is exaggerated and misleading. Text exchanges between Baldoni and Lively show that Lively had insisted that her character's clothing be much sexier. When Baldoni later used the word sexy, he was just responding to her creative input, not objectifying her personally. Lively set the tone that Baldoni heeded during the creative process, his lawyer wrote. Justin Baldoni accuses Reynolds, Lively's husband, of berating. With his complaint, Baldoni's legal team alleged that he and some of the It Ends With Us producers were called to a meeting at Lively and Reynolds' New York City apartment in January 2024, the day before filming was set to resume after industry guild strikes ended. People magazine with more on this one. There, Reynolds launched into a tirade berating Baldoni in what he later described as a traumatic encounter, stating he had never been spoken to like that in his life, the complaint alleges. Baldoni, 40, claims Reynolds, 48, demanded an apology for Lively, accusing him of fat-shaming her. And when Baldoni resisted apologizing for what he had not done, Reynolds became further enraged. Now, here's what social media is saying. Listen.
Now, as other Black women have mentioned on here, I am always extremely cautious when a white woman cries wolf, okay? I really, really am. And you can accuse me of not being a girl's girl or whatever, but at the end of the day, when you look at Blake Lively's history, you might start to understand why women who look like me were always a little bit on the fence about jumping on the Blake Lively bandwagon. Now, starting off strong, Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively got married on a plantation, okay? And if by this point you don't understand how absolutely sick and twisted that is, I can't help you. To get married in a place known for levels of concentrated human suffering unknown to man since the times of chattel slavery, crazy. And they may have done their best to scrub any pictures of their wedding from the internet, but you know those pictures hang in their house.
Black folk in the workplace, we know. You know. Just know that with complaints like that, it's best to see all sides, because sometimes interpretation really means the most. And we know what it's like to be dogpiled based on the tears of someone else. Drives home an ultimate point about working relationships that Black women taught me. Them folks ain't your friends.
You see, it's not just simple when you're dealing with these issues. I say a lot of things can be true at once. That's what I say. I don't know. This woman mentioned in Blake's complaint responds with her experience meeting Justin at a premiere. Play that.
I found out that Blake Lively included me in her lawsuit documentation when all these news outlets started to DM me. He talked about how he attended counseling sessions of men who were abusers so that he could understand his part in the movie more. He talked about how he partnered with counselors and support systems for women who have experienced domestic violence so that he could really, show the support and be able to give a more authentic take. He also talked about how he could never understand what it feels like to be a woman in this situation. He said, I don't know what it's like to have to carry pepper spray to get to my car and, all of that kind of stuff, which I really appreciated hearing him say. When I met him, he was nothing but kind. And I just happened to notice that in Blake Lively's interviews, she never mentioned domestic violence, which pissed me off.
Thank you to the woman who met Baldoni. Okay, I don't, So here's where I'm at with it. I'm a woman. Yes, I am. Who's experienced things in the workplace like a lot of women. I'm a Black woman. White women tears are a real problem. Real problem. A real problem in and out of the workplace. Big time. But Moz, to me, there were people who were there. Some of the people speaking on it were not. And I think you can be full of white privilege, be married to white privilege, get married on a plantation, have misunderstandings with people, be a brat once in a while and still be sexually harassed. I have no right to weigh in, but it's never stopped me before. And I find Baldoni's text not that impressive that he released with the actress Blake Lively. Self-serving and cherry-picked likely. This is ugly. It's like the Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing. I know where I stand on that. I just did, but many people didn't get it, just like they didn't understand Anita Hill and Clarence Thomas. I'd like to think I did through my lenses as a woman. I don't even know if we should be commenting on it, but I'm going to ask you, based on your experience in this life, what you think about this.
Well, when I see a thing like this is why I never make movies with beautiful people. Because something's going to go wrong. Something's going to go wrong, man. No, I actually have also met Justin Baldoni. I did his podcast, and he was a very nice guy, but that doesn't mean that I know the be-all, end-all of it all. What's interesting watching what you were just showing is we now live in a society where you have to try to win the battle in the public eye and on social media as well as in court. So you have his lawyer, whoever that was, pointing out all those texts and arguing. Basically, it felt like she was arguing in court to convince us that he was right or he was innocent. So it's interesting how they have to have this dual thing, because in my mind, I'm saying there's so much, nuance to this, and there's obviously what she took from it and what he is bringing to it, that I think a court is the best place to go and figure this out, and it's unfortunate really that it has to even come to that, because you would hope that two people like this could work together. I actually liked what that other person was saying in the second clip you showed, where he said, these people are not your friends, meaning don't mix your work with your friends. Like, don't get too comfortable around your work associates, your colleagues. And that's a great piece of advice, because I think we all fall for it. We all forget that when you're in the office, when you're on set, such a good camaraderie, and you're joking and you're saying things, and you think you're with your friends, and then you come to find out, oh no. So that guy was pretty wise with what he said.
Yeah.
And I would say we really need to let the courts kind of look at all the evidence, because to your point, we've seen bits and pieces from one side, bits and pieces from the other side. And oh gosh. By the way, I saw the movie was pretty good. The movie was good. Baldoni was the director. It's got definitely.
Star?
What's that?
And the star, right?
And the star, as was Blake Lively, and it had a very positive message, and it killed in the box office, and to the point where, even given all this controversy, Netflix has kept it on. So Netflix has not said, oh, we want to wash our hands of it. They're like, oh, people are watching this. To Netflix, they're probably thinking, oh, this is the best press we could have gotten.
Yeah.
It goes to the point where if you were a conspiracy theorist, you'd say, are they making this up to get all this?
Yeah.
It's kind of like when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock, and everyone said, was that staged to get more eyeballs? But I don't think that's the case. I think there's a real thing going on here. And again, I would just defer to the courts to figure out who was in the right and who was in the wrong.
I think you're right. And if it weren't so serious, I would suggest that there's probably PR teams behind the scenes that are trying to get this settled, and they'll just say, hey, we did it for the show. We did it for the movie. Ha ha. We tricked you. But I don't think that's coming. The one thing I will say that lacks credibility in Justin's story, if I were a jury right now, and you can say it's not fair, Sharon, you're not being fair. Oh, well, sometimes I'm not fair. Ryan Reynolds doesn't scare me. So I don't know how his berating would traumatize you. That's why. That's it. Okay.
Well, no. Okay. Let me defend him here, because you got to think about this. You get an invite from Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively to their New York City apartment. I'm guessing it's a penthouse or a nice apartment in January of 2024, coming off the holidays. You're calling your friends. You're like, dude, I just got an invite to Ryan. We're going to go. It's going to be a great time. I just got a call from Deadpool. We're going to go to his house. We're going to hang out. We're going to have cocktails and discuss the next steps coming off of this strike that we had that delayed our shooting. It's going to be a great party. And then you go there and you get yelled at. I mean,
you didn't know the show was about you, Justin.
Yeah, it's got to be.
Maybe he didn't bring wine. He should have brought a gift or something.
Should have brought wine.
Something expensive, those Hollywood types. But you're right. It belongs in the courts. But I like to think I have this crystal ball or something going on up here. And I'm telling you, I mean, how big is Ryan Reynolds? But whatever.
No, he's a big. Brian Reynolds is pretty big. I don't know if you've seen Deadpool. I think he's like 6'4", 6 something.
I thought they just, in post make people look bigger than they are. But okay. So you're saying he's all right.
I think he's a pretty. But also, again, like I think it's kind of like I remember I heard the story of how Quentin Tarantino got Brad Pitt to do Inglourious Basterds. He supposedly flew to France, where Brad Pitt has some chateau or something, and he said
Angelina didn't take it from him.
Well, yeah, exactly. Maybe he had it, maybe he doesn't anymore. But he said we just drank a bunch of bottles of wine, and by the time we're done, he goes, "I'm in, let's go." So again, to Justin's defense in this case, I don't know what the facts are, but if it played out the way he did, he probably thought, "Oh, we're gonna go drink some wine, we'll have a good time," and then to get yelled at.
Yeah.
Oh
Instead,
gosh.
Clocked his tea, didn't they? The husband clocked his tea.
Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. But it's not over. It's not over. Okay. We're gonna
Just
take a quick
beginning.
break. It's just beginning, and maybe they
Yeah.
need to have a sequel to the hit.
Well, the irony that it's called It Ends With Us, it's actually starting with them.
Yeah, you done started something big, okay? And we're all now invested.